It turns out your memes can come true. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 190 of Ask M&R Productions, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question that you want answered on next week's episode, leave it down in the comments below and hit that like button while you're down there. But we got a lot to cover today, so let's hop right into it. From CT7567, he says, does the new LEGO Terrifying Tales trailer foreshadow what sets we can expect next year? For example, Spider Legs Maul. So for people that don't know, Terrifying Tales is a haunted special dropping on Disney Plus on October 1st for LEGO Star Wars, much like the holiday special that we saw last year, which was pretty good. I think it was like 40 minutes long, so I would expect something similar from this. And the thing is, with last year's, we actually did get a couple minifigs from the holiday special. We specifically got them in the advent calendar, and it worked out really well because they do the advent calendars every year, so you can do a holiday themed figure and put it in the advent calendar as an exclusive, and it just works. As far as I'm aware, nothing else from that holiday special had anything to do with anything that came out in the next year. And so I would expect the exact same to be true of everything that we see in both the Terrifying Tales trailer and the Terrifying Tales like final thing. Like, for example, we had like Ben Swallow show up in the holiday special last year. Would have been a great figure to throw in like an advent calendar or some just random set or whatever, and we never got it. So I think you see my point. Now, that's not to say these things can't happen, but I would not call this foreshadowing or LEGO going out of their way to be like, hey, here's a hint at something that might be coming out, just to be clear. But something like Spider Legs Maul would be so dope to get as a LEGO set, because like it's more than doable for them. And here's the thing, Hasbro sells one of these. They're like $8 at Target. I see them every time I go. And the other big thing, a couple big things actually out of the trailer that people picked up on that I like as well, is Ren. And apparently he's like a comic book character. I'm not too in the know about him, but that would be a great like character to get. And then the other big thing is Mother Talzin. I think I said that right. This one looks so good. But this is probably just going to be more disappointment, like with most things like this from the prequel trilogy, where they put these awesome renders and these animations, and then nothing ever physically comes to fruition. We had this same thing kind of happen with the Flame Trooper as well. Like, it's happened before where we get these really cool things and nothing happens, and here we are 2 years later and we're not getting that. It's not happening. And I would pretty heavily bet against any of that stuff actually coming out, as much as it sucks. Tyler says, what do you think the reason is as to why LEGO hasn't included accurate weapons for certain figures? I think it's pretty obvious that it's a money-saving thing shrouded under the guise of trying to not make accurate weapons for kids to have military play when it comes to Star Wars stuff. Like, it's just them saving money on molds, and that's what it is. Alistair says, what is your favorite original trilogy movie? For example, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, or Revenge of the Sith. Oh man, such great original trilogy movies here. I think I'm gonna have to go with Revenge of the Sith. Next up from Productions, real question here, says, when buying CMFs at your local store, are you allowed to take the display box they come in? I really want the new Marvel CMF box, but I'm not sure if Walmart or Target will let me. So as far as I understand, yes, you're allowed to take it. And also, the best way to do this is, hey, I'm buying the last 12 of these. I've never asked for the box if it's not the rest of the figures, though, so I wouldn't do that. But if you're gonna ask for the box, make sure you're buying like the rest of the figures in that box and be like, hey, these were the last 7 figures in this box. Can I keep the box? They're gonna say yes. I have never been told no for that one. It's just not a thing people care about, and they're gonna throw it out anyway if they don't. I've literally seen them about to throw them away too, and I've been like, hey, can I have that? And they're like, yeah, of course. So yeah, it's literally just a box, and just ask. Don't be nervous about it. It's not a big deal. That being said, I'm sure the Marvel one is probably more worth having than a lot of the other ones, but I did used to collect those, and then I realized it was kind of dumb for me personally, and they were taking up a ton of space, so I stopped collecting them. Plus they were like sometimes it would be easy to track one down and find like the last 10 in a box and buy it and get the box with it, and sometimes it wouldn't be. Vettel says, would you like to see LEGO making actual race car series for speed champions? An example would be something like Formula One or NASCAR and IndyCar. So I am not a huge fan of race car, NASCAR things, whatever. That doesn't mean they shouldn't make these sort of things, obviously. But if they were going to make one, the one I would prefer, I suppose, is what I liked when I was really young, like 6 or 7. I had the 2-year NASCAR kick as a child or whatever. I think at one point I had a NASCAR tire in my closet, like no tread. It had like the yellow thing. I'm pretty sure it was a real NASCAR tire. But if they were going to make one, you got to make the DuPont car, 24, Jeff Gordon. That's what I liked when I was like, I guess I was 8 or 9. I don't know. I was young still though. The DuPont car or the Lowe's car 48 with Jimmy Johnson. Though not the Home Depot one though. I hated the Home Depot guy, number 20. I can't remember his name. But yeah, that was my NASCAR. That's all I know about NASCAR. If they're gonna make one and I was gonna buy it, it'd have to be one of those two. I also remember having like this fake Lego DuPont car if I can find it. I think I found it a while back. I'll put a picture up on the screen of it. But yeah, it was pretty fake and nasty stuff. But yeah, I'd be all for them making stuff like that. I just would only be particularly interested in a couple of them. And at that, like, I don't even know if those cars are things anymore or like if the same drivers and stuff. SK says, do you think the LEGO company is going downhill? I feel like their customer service, quality control, and connection with the fans has become very disconnected recently. What do you think? I think you are right. And I will not be expanding upon that because I will get myself in trouble. Philip says, what happened to the hype around the possible CMF for Star Wars characters? Has that been completely shut down or debunked? So right now, the reality of the situation we're in is I personally really, truly believe they can make Star Wars CMFs. They say they can't. I look at it and I don't believe it. I've looked at the history of everything that they've done, and everything points to, we can do this, but we're choosing not to because we want to make more money, which is a fine thing, but that's the way it is. They literally sold the 20th anniversary Obi-Wan for $5 each on their website. If the barrier to entry was having a stand with 10 pieces, then why are we not just having a stand with 10 pieces in the Star Wars CMF series? Do you see my point? There was something Matthew Ashton, who's like VP of LEGO design or something, said the other day. He's like, one of my favorite franchises is going to have a CMF in 2022 or something. I get to like make one of my dream franchises. And so we already know in January, of course, there'll be the typical LEGO minifigure series. There'll be series 22. And then that leaves 2 series for the rest of the year. And so the question becomes, what could be his dream franchise? I'm gonna be honest, he doesn't seem like a Star Wars guy. Scrolled through his Instagram page, I saw maybe one thing about Star Wars from like 8 months ago. You know what I mean? Like, Star Wars is probably not his dream franchise. Doesn't have to be, but I'm trying to analyze from an outsider's perspective what CMF series he could possibly be talking about. And then yesterday, a rumor drops that Muppets is going to be coming as a CMF in 2022 in May. So that would, in all likelihood, in my opinion, fit right in for his stuff there. And so that leaves the potential for Star Wars CMF to be out in September, much like the Marvel CMF was this year. And so that is the only thread of hope that we are kind of clinging on to as LEGO Star Wars fans at this point, is that it would come out in September like the Marvel one. And that's not impossible, but there's just a lot of other things. Like, I'm sure at some point there's going to be a Nintendo series. Like, they need to make Nintendo figures with Mario and stuff. That's going to happen eventually, right? Like, there's just a lot of things that could also be happening. And yeah, so if it's going to happen next year, it's going to happen in September of next year. There probably won't be much else to say about that for the time being, though. This is a good one from Thanos, and this is a question that I have gotten a lot over the last year or so, and I have always been like, usually I won't even pick it. But let me just read his question. He says, since Knights of the Old Republic is being remade, do you think we can get a few LEGO Knights of the Old Republic sets, perhaps a remake of 75025 or 75001? So, yeah, like I said, I've had a lot of people asking this, and it had not quite dawned on me that apparently there had maybe been rumors of the Knights of the Old Republic game remake. But nonetheless, there just seemed to be like this underlying demand of people asking me all the time about, like, can we get more Knights of the Old Republic sets? And I was just always kind of confused by this. So here's the thing. The game originally came out in 2003, but LEGO didn't come out with any sets for it until summer of 2012, and then I believe 2013 they had some sets, and then for the May 4th, 2014 minifigure was Darth Revan. And so you can see there was just this period for a few years where they did a few drips for Knights of the Old Republic, and it was kind of odd because it was 10 years after the game had come out. If they're doing a full-fledged game re-release, and LEGO has already said, and done, obviously, sets on it and said, we will make this. Unlike Jedi Fallen Order, where they're like, oh, it's too violent, which is the dumbest thing ever. You make 18+ sets. Star Wars fans want to buy your products. Nobody cares. They have clearly gone on record by show of their products and said, we will make these sets. And so if the game's being released on PS5, PC, whatever, why not? You know, I think I would bet that it happens. I don't know when the game's coming out, but let's just say January 2023, we could see a couple sets, would be my best guess. We get maybe another Battle Pack remake or something, and then like a $40-$50 set or something with Darth Revan in it, and that would be pretty dope. So I'm all for it. I would bet that it would happen, just given that they've already made sets for it, and given that I think there's going to be a lot of hype behind it, and just given my personal experience getting a lot of comments about it. I feel like the foundation is laid there for LEGO to go in and make some new sets for it. Maybe they could do new ships they didn't do the last time around. I think that might be preferable for some people. Meanwhile, other people would certainly prefer that they come in and redo things, because these sets are going to undoubtedly be very expensive. I went and bought everything I didn't already have as soon as I heard the game was being remade. As soon as that announcement came out, I just went on eBay and I'm like, what's the cheapest one of this? I'm buying it now, because the prices are going to go up given the game re-release, and just the demand for these things is already pretty high. So it seemed like a really good time to jump on that. So if you're trying to buy nice Old Republic LEGO sets, it might already be too late, and the price already might be even more exorbitant, but the time is now, because they're just going to keep going up in value as far as I can tell. Rod says, what are your thoughts on the recently revealed Mario PowerUp ? Block set, and are you considering purchasing it? So I already wrote down, I have like a list of sets I want to buy for the rest of the year, and it is on the list. I definitely intend to buy it come October 1st. It looks really cool to me. I'm not the biggest Super Mario fan at all, but I definitely played a little Super Mario 64 at the neighbor's house back when I was a youngin', and I remember that, and so I think just straight out of the nostalgia for that, it has got me in the door on this set. Now, the thing about the set that I personally don't care about, but for people that care about, obviously that's important for them, the ? Block, interestingly enough, wasn't in that game. So they've made a set based off a game, based off a thing that wasn't in the game, which is like that's like LEGO Star Wars level incompetence right there. Although I wouldn't call it incompetence really here, because obviously the ? Block is what's the iconic block, but in the game, I think I looked it up, there was only ! Point blocks. So like, I get it. For me, seeing the ? Block, I was like, oh, I know what that is. If I saw an ! Block, I'd be like, what the heck? Like, just as kind of a sideline fan of Super Mario stuff. The whole mechanism for opening up the interior of it and bringing out the little micro scale buildings looks really smooth and neat, and like I just want to experience that and have that. So yeah, I'm buying that for sure, day one. Bruh says, do you think LEGO will make smaller scale versions of the Millennium Falcon like the Slave 1 TIE Fighter and the X-Wing? No. Not the, like, obviously microfighters and stuff, but I think we're talking about play scale here, right? So my thing with this is, like, this smaller scale stuff is working for stuff like a Slave 1, a TIE Fighter, and X-Wing. For something like the Millennium Falcon, where I could see maybe they could slim it down. They could maybe skim $30 or $40 off the price of a big Millennium Falcon by really getting it down to its bones. Really, when we're talking about the way they would scale a Falcon is based off that cockpit piece, and I just don't see a smaller cockpit piece that makes sense for them to use, and so you have to stick in that like relative scale, because the next scale down from that is a MIDI scale, which is going to put you in a $40 to $60 price range, and at that point you can't really have any interior space, which is most of your play features on a Millennium Falcon. You can have a MIDI scale Millennium Falcon, that's just not going to be a downscale smaller version in the same vein of the Slave 1 TIE Fighter X-Wing. So I could see them doing a smaller Falcon or a skimmed down Falcon, but it wouldn't be smaller in the same sense. I would expect it to still be well over $100. The thing is, with the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing and the Slave 1, most of the features were still retained when they scaled it down so much. With the Falcon, if you scale it down by, one half, you're losing almost everything. And on top of that, the Millennium Falcon at $160 is selling like mad, and it's just fine, and people are fine with it. It's not a big deal. It's $160. It's the marquee ship for Star Wars, so it's just going to be expensive, and if you want a cheap one, buy the Microfighter. Noah says, as an adult collector, is it a great feeling to be able to basically get as much LEGO as you like? It is a blessing and a curse, most certainly, and I think most adult collectors certainly feel the same way. It's one of those great things about, like, growing up and not being in school anymore, neither having a job, and of course in my case a little bit different, but still having an income, right? And it's like pretty incredible versus like me of 10 years ago. When I look at it, like, if I told me 10 years ago that I could like literally own every LEGO Star Wars set if I wanted to, my mind would just be blown. It would be the most incredible thing I'd ever heard, and it was certainly a pipe dream of mine at the time, right? So like, yeah, it's a great feeling to be able to afford things. I think most people would tell you that, and it definitely is a great reason to wake up in the morning and put in the work for whatever you're working towards so that you can buy the things you want to buy or do the things you want to do. And the other thing is, it's like a TikTok meme too, to a degree, this whole idea that like being an adult and having money. It's like, now that I have adult money, I have like adult money spending problems, and then they show buying this like stupid thing that costs $200. Like, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's pretty cool, right? MN's LEGO channel says, thoughts on UCS Luke's Landspeeder. So of course, course, I made a whole video covering this yesterday, but I did want to kind of add a little bit given the conversation that's kind of happened after I've uploaded my video. So obviously, a lot of people memeing on the set, and somewhat deservedly so, because it's a poor choice timing-wise, given that there should be a UCS Slave 1. I've been talking about how I thought a UCS Slave 1 would be the most sensible choice for May of next year for LEGO, and I guess if I ever tell you something is a sensible choice for LEGO, you know it's not going to happen. So it doesn't look like a UCS Slave 1 re-release is going to be happening anytime soon. So if you want a UCS Slave 1, buy it now. Like the writing is on the wall. I very much believe the Landspeeder rumor to be true. And so if you were the guy or, you know, watching the video and you think, I might buy a UCS Slave 1, but I want to wait and see, you don't have to wait any longer now. I thought we might not know until like December or January what might be coming out for May of next year, which made the whole conundrum of do you wait, do you buy it now, do you buy it now and then sell it, or whatever, a lot more difficult to come to a conclusion for. But with this rumor out there now, buy the Slave 1 now. It's out there, and I think the Slave 1, you know, you look at sets like the UCS Imperial Shuttle, it's insane. I mean, it's worth over $1,000 sealed. Slave 1 could certainly trend in that direction very quickly, given both this rumor and the Book of Boba Fett combined. It's just gonna right up. So yeah, buy it now. And Luke's Landspeeder, I've been on record many a time saying that I think they need to make a Luke's Landspeeder. It's a long overdue UCS model. The timing, like I said, is just poor. H says, do you think the price of battle packs went up due to the Scout Trooper being quite rare and there are more builds being added along with them possibly being good ones, possibly just the Snow Troopers having waist capes and backpacks? If so, I hope we get a new mold for the backpack, kind of like the one from the older Snow Trooper helmet. So I do not think the price is up because the Scout Trooper is rare or whatever, or a figure we haven't gotten before, whatever the deal is. I do, however, think the price is up for a pretty obvious reason, because they can. I don't think that this battle pack will provide a significantly better battle pack than the previous $15 battle packs. However, I see a striking resemblance to something known as Shrinkflation, and this question I thank you for because it reminded me of one of my favorite YouTubers who I just don't think about enough anymore, Leo Kim Video. He uploaded a video about 8 years ago about Cadbury chocolate downsizing and then re-upsizing and stuff like that. And so this is a great analogy, I think, because basically what we've seen with battle packs is they went from a $15 battle pack and then they released a $30 battle pack. And now they're releasing another small battle pack, but now it's $20 instead of $15. So the constants with the battle packs are that you're getting 4 minifigures that you want to army build. We can make the argument about battle droids, but for the simplicity of my point here, doesn't have to be a big deal. There are 4 figures for your army building in the battle packs. So with this Cadbury chocolate, let's say, right, the price stayed exactly the same. Let's say each chocolate is $5. And so originally, the candy bar was 250 grams of chocolate. And then Cadbury came in and made it 200 grams of chocolate. And they slightly changed the packaging, but they made it look largely the same so that people wouldn't notice. So they took a fifth of the product out of the chocolate bar. It went from 250 grams to 200 grams, and they downsized it without saying anything, obviously, because companies don't say anything when they downsize their products. And then, of course, when they upsized it, like a year later or whatever, they put a big thing on it. It's like 10% more chocolate. And so it went from 200 grams to 220 grams. And so obviously you can see if the price is remaining constant, they decreased the chocolate, but then gave you more chocolate, but it's still less chocolate than you were getting before. And if we apply this to battle packs, it's kind of like the inverse, because LEGO is changing the price, unlike the chocolate bar, and the product is what is remaining as constant as it can be. Obviously, it's a different product, but like the core of it, getting 4 figures for building your army, is staying the same, right? So instead of like taking a figure out to keep the price the same, they're keeping the same amount of figures, but changing the price. And so I think that this, you know, we went from 15 to 30 and oh, hey, now it's 20, now it's $10 cheaper than it was, is kind of this whole facade so that people forget the battle packs for $15. And that's why I think it's $20, because they can and people are going to pay it. And yeah, I'm not opposed to a $20 battle pack if it's worth the money, but I just don't think they're going to add anything in here that makes it worth $5 more than the last battle packs we were getting. And I think when I am able to compare the 2 Snow Trooper battle packs, it will be glaringly obvious that between the 2 battle packs, there just isn't a $10 difference after 10 years and inflation. Yanfi says, do you think LEGO will do a remake of Jabba's Palace in accordance with the release of the Book of Boba Fett? How many more times do I have to tell you people, LEGO is not gonna make any LEGO sets based off of a book? Anyway, next question from Mighty says, do you think we'll ever get a UCS ARC-170 Starfighter? And I would say, given the infinite timeline of LEGO Star Wars, the answer in all likelihood is yes, because the ARC-170 Starfighter seems like it would lend itself well to a UCS-style set, like the gunship, but more in the $200 range like we get for May 4th every year. And so, really, I would guess that on May 4th, 2025, the 20-year anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3, we would get a UCS ARC-170. If we're ever going to get it, that would be the best year to do it. LEGO, I know you like to plan things out in advance. Just mark that one down in your calendars for about 3.5 years from now. UCS ARC-170. It should probably be coming out for the 20th anniversary of Episode 3. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 400,000 subscribers. That is an insane number to have come out of my mouth. On top of that, if you have any questions for next week, of course, down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, that like button's down there too. Peace out.